And here we go. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
To me, it's good morning. To Laszlo, it's good afternoon. To Astrid, it's good middle
Good
of the night.
evening. It's 11 p.m. We're still technically in the evening.
Okay, good evening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Hacktoberfest kickoff stream. We are your three main people that are just helping get all of this organized. I'm not saying we're the three leads or anything like that. We're all leading this time around. We have a ton of volunteers, as you can see from the intro video. We have a ton of people that participate in this event every year. And so this is a community event. We're just here to press buttons to make sure everything launches. Hi, everyone. I'm Earl Duque. I am a developer advocate here at ServiceNow. I'll let Laszlo go.
Hey, Laszlo Bolla, Senior Developer Advocate at ServiceNow as well, based in Europe.
Hi, so Astrid Sapphire, Combo Breaker. I am a Principal Product Success Manager working in our finance and supply chain, but still at ServiceNow. So yeah, lovely to be part of it.
Nice. Yeah. So hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into this. The main question, what is Hacktoberfest? Hacktoberfest is a month-long celebration of all things open source, primarily taking place on GitHub and GitLab. And then this event is run by a company called DigitalOcean. And ServiceNow, the developer program of ServiceNow, has traditionally, over the past, I believe, 9 years now, has participated in this event as a way to get ServiceNow people, our community of admins, developers, builders, to join in and participate in Hacktoberfest via ServiceNow specific projects. So that's what it is. That's what we're doing. And since it's October 1st, this is a kickoff live stream to talk about it, to start showing you how to get started if you've never done it, and to actually show you how to do it. We're going to be, if we have time, we're going to try to show you actual contributions, both good and bad, depending on how good we are about our contribution live. But yeah, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please jump into any of the chats. We're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn right now. And so let us know so that we can interact with it. This is a community event. So if you're new, if you're a veteran, if you have no experience whatsoever, and anywhere between, we welcome you and we want you to be in this, because a lot of us, our first time trying open source and Git and this remote collaboration on building an app, it started with Hacktoberfest X amount of years ago. I think my first one was 2018. I think that was my first Hacktoberfest. What about you two? When was your first ones?
Well, this t-shirt, I think this is from 21. I think my first one was 1 year before that, or maybe 2 years, but I definitely didn't hit the 4 PRs mark for my first try.
Oops.
So no t-shirt there, but that's okay. Astrid, what about you?
I actually started, I think this is the 22 shirt, keeping in the theme there with Laszlo. So 21, I think, similarly to Laszlo there, I was a bit intimidated. I tried to go into sort of the big wide world of open source, and there are so many incredible projects out there, but there can be a steep curve to entry to try and get involved in some of those. So really getting to do that in 2022 with the ServiceNow group was my first time getting 4 in. So getting the shirt luckily, but then being able to go through from there. And just to answer Ben's question in the chat, it is an old singing machine that is currently under a little bit of reconstruction, I'll say. We are trying to get that one back working and back alive again. So work in progress.
Yeah. The funny part about them saying, oh, they got started on like 2022 or 2021 years. Honestly, Hacktoberfest was more difficult to participate in before, at least for ServiceNow projects, and it's a lot more accessible now and a little bit more approachable. So before then, you actually had to try. There was a lot of like jumping through hoops to get some participation in. And we also have been talking about shirts. I was gonna wear a Hack for Good, not a Hacktoberfest shirt too, but because of this year's add-on, we're partnering with Hack for Good from, if you remember, from Knowledge Conferences, a ServiceNow program that is for social impact and good. I wanted to highlight that shirt, but we'll talk about shirts because that's important in a little bit. So, we'll talk more about general things, but I want to jump right into how to get started so that people can see how to participate without us droning on and on and on. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. This is the Hacktoberfest website, hacktoberfest.com. Good morning, Abin. I see you saying hi in chat. But if you want to participate, the first step that you need to do is go to, there's always more additional context, so I'll try my best to provide that. The first thing you want to do is go to github.com and create a GitHub account. That's the first step. Yes, it works in other Git websites, but we participate in GitHub. So if you don't have a GitHub account, please go to github.com to create an account. And then your next step would be to go to hacktoberfest.com and register for Hacktoberfest. This button right here, register for Hacktoberfest. You're going to log in with your GitHub account, and it's going to show you your Hacktoberfest profile, and that's where you're going to start tracking your progress as you go along. I thought I initiated mine. There it is. So here's my Hacktoberfest profile. I have 3 in progress in review out of 6. I could see my progress for rewards and what contributions I've done so far. It's all about hacktoberfest.com to know your progress for Hacktoberfest. And what is progress? What are we talking about? We're saying if you put in Hacktoberfest, if you complete 6 approved pull requests that are merged into the repositories that you submitted them to, and we'll talk about what all those weird words mean if you don't know any of those, you get prizes. There are digital prizes, so you can get these neat digital badges that you can put on different places. This is my HoloPin canvas that has all my digital badges from not just Hacktoberfest, but from other participating events. Here's my most recent one for being in this year's Hacktoberfest, nicely proudly displayed in the middle. This is a automatically generated image that is being controlled from HoloPin. And then if you complete Hacktoberfest, they will plant a tree in your name. So that's cool. And there are swag. The swag came back. So for 2 years, they didn't do shirts anymore. So the cool shirts that Laszlo is wearing and Astrid is wearing, they stopped it, and that like broke our hearts. But they brought it back. So this year, we don't know what the shirt looks like yet, but this year, for the first 10,000 completions or people that finish Hacktoberfest and have it fully reviewed, they will send a t-shirt, and those are always as sizes last. So if you're going for the shirt, it behooves you to participate early. I'll just say that. Okay, so those are the Hacktoberfest size of prizes. On the ServiceNow side, what the website that you need to know is, and thank you Laszlo for typing all these into the chat, devlink.sn/Hacktoberfest. And that will bring you to this blog. Devlink.sn/Hacktoberfest, and it'll bring you to our official ServiceNow page regarding Hacktoberfest. One of the things that we emphasize and say, we're sorry that this is necessary, but it is necessary, is that these links that we're talking to you about, please read through all of them before participating. and particularly how to participate. Anything like that is what's important. So we on this blog we talk about what we're doing this year. We have stats from last year, which was great. We had almost 1,400 pull requests by 450 people last year, so that was really fun. We've been almost doubling our participation every year since like 2022, 2021. We talk about what projects that we have this year. We only have 3 projects this year, so we're very much focused on scope this year. And what we're asking everybody to do is think about where you are in your open source journey and take one step up. So if you're brand new, start at level 1. But if you've done Hacktoberfest before, we're going to ask you to do to level 2. And if you are ready, we want you to go to level 3, which is an actual app that we are building together and releasing into the world for everyone to use. So if you want to be, levels 1 and 2 is about learning. Let me back up. Level 1 is about learning. Level 2 is about learning at a slightly more advanced level and contributing to Hack for Good. And then level 3 is actual collaboration on a project that we want to benefit everybody in the world. That is ServiceNow. That does ServiceNow stuff. We talk about what is Hacktoberfest and a little refresher on some of the terminology. We have a podcast that Laszlo and I recorded with Lauren, one of our colleagues, talking about it. We talk about the DigitalOcean rewards that I just went over earlier, but I also talk about the ServiceNow rewards. So in addition to the DigitalOcean rewards, if you complete Hacktoberfest with us, you get an exclusive community badge that will be that will show up on your community profile. And we are sending out our own swag too, including t-shirts. So you might be able to get doubled up on t-shirts this year if you are the earliest to participate. So there's that too. The t-shirt is the CreatorCon t-shirt. We do know what that one will look like. To qualify for the ServiceNow side of the prizes, it's complete Hacktoberfest as normal, but also commenting on this blog with detailing your contributions and sharing your experience. And so that's we need that to happen so that we can know who you are in the ServiceNow community, so that we can grant all the prizes and stuff like that. That's why that's required. And then this important link right here, how to get started. This is an important link because this link, again, more to read, but has the projects that we are using this year, to the actual link to all the projects that is happening this year. So here's the 2025 project lineup. We have 3 of them. We'll talk about each one, and I'll let we'll talk about words. I just woke up. My bad. I'm going to be stumbling over myself a bunch, but the first one is code snippets. And code snippets, for a lot of you will remember, if you participated in previous years, code snippets has been our little Hacktoberfest baby for years now. And it's a repository that has the code snippets that's been given to us from all over the world about ServiceNow. If you had a cool code that helped you solve a problem, if you wrote a particularly clever script that did something cool that you never seen anybody else do before, if you have a helpful utility script include that has never been seen before, we want you to contribute it so that people in ServiceNow know there's a repository of these little cool code snippets that are community driven. And so that's our code snippets repository. How to participate in it is really simple. You don't even have to have a ServiceNow instance. You can participate in it completely within GitHub. So that's really cool. And then I'll pass it over to Laszlo to explain our next project.
Yeah, so basically our next project is the Hack for Good one. If you've been in the community, you've been at Knowledge the past couple of years, you might have come across our Hack for Good initiative, which is run by our Global Impact and Sustainability Organization. And it revolves around people dedicating their time to essentially develop an application for nonprofit organizations or for any other essentially charity purposes. We're not going to do that just yet as part of Hacktoberfest. What we did now is we created a simple application for you guys to submit proposals and ideas for consideration as part of the Hack for Good initiative. So basically, all you got to do there starts the same way as Earl just explained with code snippets. You fork the repository. But there's an extra step now. You're going to need a ServiceNow instance, whether that's your PDI or anything else. And you're going to have to install this app from source control, from your own forked repository. We have all that, or we're going to eventually have all that described in the contributing guidelines. You install that from your repository. You're going to have a portal page that navigates you to the right places in terms of checking out what other ideas were submitted by other people or how to submit your own idea. And once you created your idea, how do you actually create a pull request, or how do you commit that back to your repository first, then go back to your GitHub account and open the pull request just like you would do with anything else, with code snippets, etc. So the process from there on is the same. Really, the extra difficulty, if I may say, is we're introducing actually a ServiceNow instance. Like, how do we work with applications in ServiceNow that are linked to source control, in this case, a GitHub repository? That's the extra complexity or the extra effort there, if you like.
Yeah, but if you are the added complexity of you need to be in a ServiceNow instance, it's a pretty low barrier entry to participate still.
Fair enough.
We try to make this really easy for
everyone.
You know,
you got to set that up. You're gonna have to create credentials to connect your GitHub account with your ServiceNow instance. That's the first thing you got to do, and then
I just don't want to hear
easy.
people that do ServiceNow development complain about having to be in ServiceNow to do Hacktoberfest.
I'm not saying they would.
And then the third project, I'll leave it to Astrid to explain.
Definitely. So the third project is my chance to have a bit of fun with wordplay. It is our action pack, which is an action pack of flow actions. Really, the goal with this application is, again, we're thinking about that increased level of complexity and really building something that can be used within your instance. Have you ever, as a developer or as somebody interacting with the platform, run into the issue where you want to do something within Flow Designer, but you're missing an action? You can't find one in the existing list that will do what you need. Really, Action Pack is designed to try and solve that. We won't solve it for every case. There's always going to be edge cases, but the exciting part of that is the opportunity to think about each of those cases and then have the opportunity to support the broader community by contributing an action, a flow action that you've gone through and built yourself that you can then work on top of. So you can be using that, pulling that into your sub-production or even production environments to be leveraging this application, but also taking the opportunity to really go and create something beyond that metadata to be actually creating an automated tool that, really cool, you can possibly be seeing that used across the broader ServiceNow ecosystem. It's really exciting premise behind it.
Yeah, some of our most favorite ServiceNow utilities has been community made. And so this one will be as community driven as possible, since we're all building it together, and it'll be a repository that's open source and anybody can contribute, anybody can enhance, anybody can request enhancements or announce bugs on it because it's all in Git. So we do have a lot of questions. Thank you, Laszlo and Astrid, for explaining those repositories. We do have questions in the chat, but we'll get to that after we finish explaining some of the Hacktoberfest repo stuff. And so going back into this repository, there's two more things I wanted to acknowledge. there is a scoring section on the main Hacktoberfest repository. There's a separate scoring system that we instituted years ago, and it is you get points within our Hacktoberfest program just by going to these projects and hitting the fork button, and we'll show what that means in a minute. By submitting pull requests, you get points. Submitting issues, you get points, and then on the reviewer side, we have ways to get points too. So, and we'll talk about our reviewers. But if you want to see the full leaderboard of this year and past years, clicking on the leaderboard, we have our contributors already contributing this year. So we actually have a lot of people that have already done stuff within these repositories this year. And then our leaderboard for all of time. So everybody that has ever contributed or participated or started participating in our program is listed in here, which is really cool to see because it's actually a lot of people. And then we do it by percentile contributions on saying who's the top of the leaderboard. So you can ignore the first three names. We're cheating. We're doing a lot of the setting up, which gives us a lot of points naturally because we're doing a lot of committing, reviewing, issue creation. So we tend to get a lot of points in it. So you can ignore those first three. But everybody else, look at, I see a lot of names, our MVPs. I see rising stars in here. I see a bunch of people that are like, oh, it was so cool to see them participate in this as some of their earliest activities too. So that's really cool to see. And then the last bit I wanted to highlight on this repository is our reviewers. We have a team of volunteers. These are purely volunteering for this activity. And these volunteers are actively watching all of the contributions that come in. And so if you think about it, last year, 15,000 contributions happened. And it is a team of people that are reviewing these things to make sure that they look good. They're making sure that if it doesn't look good, that they help you along the way, which is very important to us. We're trying to help you grow alongside. So we're trying to have as much patience and grace in assisting you as possible. But this team of volunteers is what makes Hacktoberfest possible for ServiceNow. And so if you see any of these people reviewing your pull requests, or if you chat with them online, give them a shout out because we're all working around the clock around the world to bring Hacktoberfest to you. So these are our list of reviewers. Before we jump into showing how to actually contribute to Hacktoberfest, there are some questions that happen in the chat that I want to make sure we say out loud in case people aren't on the right chat platform. So if y'all
let me highlight one. I just picked this one.
Definitely.
Ashley, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked a little bit about those levels and about trying to challenge yourself to step up to the next level. You are not constrained to any levels at all. We're not going to come in and police you. We really want to give you the opportunity to get involved and to also grow in your experience with source control within ServiceNow. And that's really where those levels start to come in. So if you'd like to start with code snippets, you're not bound to code snippets, and you're definitely welcome to move into any of the others. And likewise, you might have a great set of ideas in your mind for Hack for Good, and that might be where you want to sit. So there is no constraints on that whatsoever.
Nice.
In fact, I just wanna add to that. We never really talk about that, but Hacktoberfest is a global event celebrating open source. Technically, whatever technical chops you got, you can contribute to any other projects as well, not just the ones that we support as the Surgeon Developer Program. So you can contribute to other repositories, and all of that just gonna add up and add to your 6 contributions for this year's Hacktoberfest. I think it's just important to point out. But some people like to look around.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
And I'd also shout out again, sorry to make this one a bit of a long answer for you there, Naz, but the other part of that as well is, and you see it on Hacktoberfest's core website themselves, they really highlight that not all contributions for Hacktoberfest need to be code. While we've shaped these largely around code within the ServiceNow context, you can go into the broader ecosystem. If you are bilingual and you can translate, then there is huge amounts of contribution you can do in translations. There's all of these different ways you can contribute without feeling pressure to sort of start from scratch or share code that you might be feeling a bit self-conscious about. Don't feel self-conscious about it. You'll see some of the code that each of us have done over the last few years and our growth in that period. It feels like we were coding in the 80s, just no punch cards. So yes, definitely. No code contributions are a big thing for Hacktoberfest too.
Another recent question related, I've been asked, should we be doing all the tasks in order, as mentioned, in order? So Laszlo mentioned it. You don't have to. We have 3 projects. We call them level 1, 2, and 3 for just what we consider complexity's sake. So if you are brand new, maybe level 1 might be for you. If you're a pro ServiceNow developer that can code with your eyes closed, level 3 might be for you. But we have no restrictions on which level you can participate and how many times you can participate to get to the 6 approved contributions. You could do all 6 in one repository. You could do 2 in each of them. You could do 1 in 1 and 2 in 2, and then the rest in the third one. It's up to you how you participate. Our entire thing, though, is we want you to be intentional about participation and acknowledging where your level might be and jumping in at that level and then challenging yourself to go 1 level up to continue past that. There will be people that submit 6 into the level 1 repository, even though they could have done all 3 easily enough, just so that they can finish Hacktoberfest. We understand that. We are not restricting that. But we still want to encourage you to use this event, this time for you to jump into open source and challenge yourself to do more. Because honestly, a lot of these levels for myself, which I consider myself, I can do that stuff in my sleep. I was able to do all 3 within an hour yesterday, like 1 contribution each. Though that's inaccurate because I knew how the repositories worked. So that's a little cheeky. So it might take a little bit longer, but I think like they're if you know your ServiceNow stuff, all 3 of them are very accessible. So I encourage you to try all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it may take a little bit longer when you do this for the first time, but it's just gonna get like significantly easier afterwards. Plus, you're taking it with you to your projects, to your daily work as a ServiceNow developer, architect, solution consultant, whatever you do. It's a huge benefit, trust me. And it helps you just get stuff done more professionally. Some customers even expect you to contribute to source control. So you're not going to be just, standing there Googling like crazy or asking ChatGPT how to do that. You already know how to do that. And Earl, before we move on, I think there's one more question with a little bit more substance to it, and I don't think we can just walk by that.
Definitely.
Oh,
Nick, you've asked the question we've all been wondering about. Really appreciate you taking the time. What I am doing is looking through Amazon at the moment to try and find the best appropriate match to ship it to Elle's place.
I have the blue and green wigs I forgot to put next to me for the stream.
We talked about stuff looking good in terms of PRs, but huge shout out to our colleague Adam Chalibak creating all these images for our reviewers this year. We always try to come up with a theme, and yeah, I've just seen it. It's the theme this year was the 80s. I think it came out pretty sick. So thanks, Adam.
It looks so good. There's a really good LinkedIn post that I turned some of these images into magazines covers. So check that out on LinkedIn. Okay, so getting back to things. Also, again, we've tried to make this as easy as possible for you to participate in. So shout out to Stefan. Stefan's already looked through some of the repositories and is even saying the guidelines are straightforward, clear to follow. We try to make it really easy for you to know what to do. And one last thing before we jump into the repositories, Laszlo was talking about like it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity for you to learn. For level 2, it's an opportunity to actually do good by contributing to Hack for Good. Level 3 is an opportunity to actually build something together. And from my experience learning Git and open source and just that whole process, if you follow any of my live streams now, you'll know I prefer this method of updating ServiceNow and doing work in ServiceNow over update sets. I almost exclusively use source control for all of my projects now. And I prefer it as a person that is a pro coder, as a person that knows how to do dev work outside of ServiceNow now. So if you are looking to up your game in knowing more than just the ServiceNow update sets dev kind of world, this is a great way to get started in learning that kind of process and expanding your tool set for when you eventually have to go into integrations with other products, into developing stuff on other platforms, which is all part of ServiceNow career journeys, honestly. So it's good. It's a good time to jump in. Any other questions or comments that we should highlight?
I don't think so. Not at the moment.
I just realized I spilled my coffee. Okay, cool. So are either of you ready to share? Oh, I'll just do it. I'm going to do it live.
I'm fine too. Up to you. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fun to see me
Take it away.
struggle. People love seeing me struggle on stream.
It's true. We
We
really
kind of
enjoy it.
expect that at this point.
Hey. All right. So I'm gonna do a code snippet contribution really quick live on air. And to get to it, I'm back in that Hacktoberfest repository, and I'm gonna click on code snippets. And here I am. I'm in code snippets. I'm gonna be, if I was doing it as a real contribution, I'm going to read through the README file. And then I am going to read through the contributing file. So the README file is like explaining the repository and what is it doing and all that good stuff. And how to, and oftentimes like how to get started or how to install it into your instance and stuff like that. And then the contributing file is the requirements for your contribution. It's the, if you break any of these rules, we might not be able to approve it right away. So contributing .md is a really good file to go back to right before you submit to make sure you didn't miss anything.
I think we cannot stress that enough. It's one of the most common mistakes. If people just not following that or just doing it wrong.
Yeah, and so for example, like we have for code snippets level 1, we have a very detailed. You have to follow this folder structure, or else we will reject you. And in fact, this year I think it will automatically reject you if you break some of these rules. And so read through the contributing files. It'll help you on your way to contributing to this endeavor. And the fun part about this is that README plus contributing process is very much how a lot of Git projects work. So if you participate in non-ServiceNow repositories, that's kind of how it goes. Read the README file, read the contributing file, period, and then start contributing. Were you gonna say something, Astrid? I think I spoke over you. I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. I think the key thing is definitely follow the contributing, but don't be afraid if you're unclear or unsure about something to ask, to add a comment. We, both the group of us on the live stream here, but also the great group of maintainers and reviewers that we've got behind as well, are really excited to be bringing more people into this space. So the goal here for us isn't to slap you on the wrist and send you on your way. It's to help sort of grow your knowledge and give you that opportunity to really build on your current knowledge there. So if it's something that you make a mistake, we'll definitely help you out. But reading that helps you avoid a lot of those as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so jumping into my contribution, the first thing I'm going to do, and this the first step for all 3 repositories, is you're going to hit that fork button. And that fork button will bring you to creating a new fork. And a fork, I'm going to let someone jump in really quick in a couple sentences. What are you doing when you're forking something?
Creating a copy for your own use.
That is right. So I already have my fork, so I'm just going to jump over to it. But when you create a fork, you'll see it says, now it doesn't say ServiceNow Dev Program up here. It says my GitHub account and the same name of the repository. And right here, it says, hey, this has been forked from a different repository. I now have my own, at the moment, copy of that entire repository sitting on my own account. And I can do whatever I want to this repository without affecting the original repository. And that means I can break things, I can test things, I can try new things, I can have free reign on this repository, and I don't have to worry about messing up other people's work. And that was how easy it was to just press the fork button and be able to do that. And in fact, from within my own repository, I then have branches. So I have this main branch, which is what reflects the most up-to-date code, especially if I sync it to the main branch, the top one, which we explain in our documentation. I won't get into it much.
But
go ahead.
I think that one is just really useful to keep an eye out for those pop-ups. It does have that very clear message above your code there, because one of the biggest issues that we see in maintaining is you've made a fork, say a year ago for some of our users, or today, and you're contributing in 2 days' time. If you go through and sync that before you start into your new branch, you'll make sure you have the most recent updates so that we don't end up with your update then removing somebody else's by accident. We'll manage a lot of that ourselves, but when you can go through and sync that quickly, super useful button to press. So look for those messages and do what it says with that sync book there. Sorry, Al.
Yeah, no problem. So I've made my own branch. And so when I make my own branch, it's almost like making forks within my own fork. And so I can go make a new branch in my own repository and change as much as I want, and it won't affect the main branch. And so that's the beauty of Git, is this ability to do all these levels of source control and controlling which versions of the app that we're creating. And so now that I'm in my Kickoff contribution submission, I'm going to go ahead and do whatever changes I want to contribute to it. So what that might look like is I jump into one of these categories and I think to myself, oh, I have a really cool business rule that I could contribute to this. And so I would go to the business rule folder, look through these things to see if it's already been addressed, and if I can maybe add to it or modify an existing one, or I can create a brand new one by going to create new file. And then if you follow the contributing guidelines, it will say you need to have your own snippet folder. So it would be something like I don't know the name. I don't have a code snippet ready for this stream, so I'm just making something up. So I have a code snippet folder, and then I'm going to press /, and now I'm in my own new snippet folder, and I am going to create a README file and say contribution. I'm contributing. This snippet is so contributional. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. I'm going to add that file into this branch, make sure it's committing into this branch that I've made. And if you look at the contributing file, you need a README file. That's why I put that. And then I'm going to add another file. And this will be my code JavaScript file. And this is where I would do something like I would make my code or paste my code snippet in here. Yep, that's my contribution this time around, and I'm going to commit this thing.
Business rule.
Huh?
It's an on-query business rule, quite literally.
And so now in this branch, I have a new folder and 2 new files. And now I'm going to say, oh, I'm ready to contribute. And if I go back to my homepage of my fork, it'll say like, hey, you have a branch that has recent pushes, and you can actually submit that now. And so when I'm ready, I can go in here, press the compare and pull request button, and it's going to start building a pull request. And a pull request is our version of contribution. Well, no, it is a contribution, but a pull request, we can explain, read up on what that means. We won't have time to explain it, but it automatically creates this template of checklists to review. I have read and understood the guidelines. I did that. My pull request has a descriptive title that has accurately reflect the changes. Oh, I need to say code snippet for starting a Glide record. Test. I'm going to put test right there. And if you press the preview button, you'll actually see, oh, the check marks are happening as long as you follow this format of putting an X in here. I've included only relevant files and so on, going through and previewing it. And then when you're done, make sure you know where it's going. Here's the branch that I was in, and here's where it's going. See the arrow pointing left? And so it's saying when you press the submit button, it's going to submit it to the original repository's main branch, which is correct. And then once I get through all of my checklists, I can go down here. I can even see what changes are happening with this pull request. I've added a code.js file, and I've added a readme.md file into this new folder. And when I look through all of it, I can press the create pull request button, and I'm done. That is my contribution submission. That, if approved, will be your first one. Yes, it would be considered spam. And so I'm doing this live to show that if someone were to do this kind of submission, we would probably jump into the comments and say, like, this isn't quite what we're looking for. Did you want to add to this?
Effort, buddy.
Yeah. If someone wants to press the say close pull, then don't worry about it. So at that point, one of us, the many reviewers that are assigned to these repositories, would look through it. We'll give you some suggestions. We would ask you to probably change this contribution, and then either approve it or close it and ask you to work on it a little bit more and open it again. We don't want contributions that look like this. We don't want contributions that will are like, I added a period to this sentence. Isn't that good enough? And in fact, I think we have. Was that on code snippets, y'all?
Oh, I think
we've already had one
most
spam
recent one?
submission.
Yeah.
We've had a spam submission. If you're going in here like, oh, I added a period to the end of the sentence, and that's your submission. Our reviewers, someone already closed my PR. Astrid did. If you submit spammy contributions, we have the ability to mark it as spam. And if you have only 2 submissions marked as spam across any repository in Hacktoberfest, you are completely disqualified from participating in Hacktoberfest for good, in perpetuity. You will not be able to contribute anymore, and you're permanently disqualified. So do not spam these repositories, okay? Do not. I took a long time to show that contribution, so I apologize. I want to make sure we show a level 2 or 3 contribution, and we might only have time for one of those. So
I wanted to tackle some of the questions also,
sure.
if that's possible. It's from LinkedIn. So if you forked last year, you need to fork again? No. If you already have your own version of that, you already have your own fork, just make sure you sync. You should sync regularly anyway, just to make sure you get the latest updates. But all you got to do is sync. That's it. And Carlos, thanks for answering questions over there on LinkedIn. I've seen you've been busy, so much appreciated. But since these do not show on the YouTube stream, I wanted to make sure we tackle that as well.
Yeah, and to know if you already have a fork, when you go into a repository, if you have a drop down here, that means you already have a fork. And you can just click on that, and you'll see the forks that you have. You can also make new forks. That's the fun part. But you would go to the fork, and then as Astrid pointed out earlier, make sure this button right here, sync fork, is click on that and then press the sync button to sync up to the most recent stuff.
We've got another one very quickly from Abhishek. One of you want to tackle that?
Yeah, so there is no limitation. So I think Earl touched on this a little bit before as well, but really you could have 6 in one ServiceNow Hacktoberfest one. You could have a mixture across all 3. You could have 1 in the ServiceNow ones and 5 elsewhere. You can have all of them completely distinct outside of ServiceNow. There is no constraint on that whatsoever. It's just an opportunity to experiment and also grow to those other levels as well.
Very quickly, this one. What about refactoring existing codes?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a stance of, if you are substantially if you're contributing in a way that's substantial, then yes, 100% feel free to refactor existing code. Another option that you may have is simply create another JavaScript file say that it's an alternative way to do it. So there's value in showing different ways to code the same thing. And so if I show a recent contribution that I did, the Konami code Easter egg one, this is a good example. The original files was this README and the Konami code Easter egg.js file, the first one. This year, I added a V2 version of it, which is something I didn't want to take away from the first one, because the second one is just a different way of doing it with a little bit more like safeguards. So you can also just make a new file if you don't want to edit a previous file. So that's a good question. That was a great question.
Okay. Should we try to highlight one of the ServiceNow apps?
Yeah, who wants to do it?
Look, I'm happy to submit myself to demo gods already. So like we did with Earl's one, we're again starting out from GitHub. I've already created a fork of Action Pack, so going through Action Pack in this example. So I've got a fork here, and if you look further back, you can actually see back when I was crafting this before we went live. So going into Action Pack, the reason I want to start out from my fork is, again, make sure that my branch is up to date with the core repo, is because I need to be able to identify the GitHub repository to my ServiceNow instance when I'm going to go through and pull that into that instance. So what I've done there is I can see this code button up here, lovely, nice and green, and I want to go in. In this case, I'm going to be connecting over HTTPS. And so I just want to come in and grab this text. I've got a happy, easy copy URL to clipboard button there. And so I'm going to use that in order to quickly get that one copied there. Now I'm just going to change which tab we're seeing. So we'll quickly go back to our faces. Sorry to do that one on URL. Arc is playing silly with me. So what I've got here now is within one of my instances here, I have opened ServiceNow Studio. This is a Zurich instance. You want to be on Zurich to be able to import an application through ServiceNow Studio. Before Zurich, you can do this through App Engine Studio as well as the Legacy Studio there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through within the Studio experience, go to this Create button over here. The other ones don't have the Import App component, but I want to go to this one and then to my Import App here as well. I've got my import app there. I can see the protocol that I've chosen to use. Like I said, I'm going to use HTTPS. And so I'm going to paste that URL that I grabbed there. And now my branch for that one, I actually want to be pulling directly from the main branch of my fork. This is going to let me pull down that in line with the core repo, so I can then go and add something else on top. I'm going to set this email really quickly. You don't have to do this at all. It's just something I personally like to do. And I'm going to go and look for a credential. If you don't have a credential record already, you can go through and quickly create a basic auth credential. And we've got the steps for creating a a personal access token documented in a few places. Earl did a really great write-up about this recently, and I've mentioned that in the action pack contributing and README as well. Definitely recommend going and checking that one out. In this case, I've got my fork, I've grabbed the information of that fork, and I've got my credential. I'm ready to pull this into my ServiceNow instance. So now we get to watch it load, and because it's still a relatively small app, this will happen in no time. If once we're talking thousands of different pieces of metadata, the time will slightly grow, so on and so forth, but we're still in the early days here now. As we can see, we're successful. We've loaded that into the instance here. Now I can see that custom app, it's loaded within my ServiceNow Studio. I can see the automation pieces here. I've got my 3 different actions that have been added so far. This one by myself, but then some additional items added by some of our contributors already. What I want to do in this repo, because I know that it's about creating actions, is I want to go ahead and create a file to actually start working on my actions there. It's going into action pack, and I want to be creating an action. You can see the system name here as well within the table that those get stored within. So I'm grabbing that action there. And from here, I'm ready to go. This is a Workflow Studio, Flow Designer style view where I want to create a stream contribution. Much like Earl, I don't have a full fleshed out example for this one right now, but what I have done within the repository is a list of issues with different examples that you might have. We saw get a system property there earlier. You could also be setting a system property. You could be setting user preferences. These are all things that could be really valuable to add into your flows, but we don't have in ServiceNow out of the box. So we're taking that opportunity to close the gap by doing those different components there. I'm mindful of time, Earl. Do you want me to keep working through this one here to quickly show an example of committing this from ServiceNow?
Earlier muted. So
Fudge, it always happens once per stream. Okay. Astrid, if you could get a file saved so you can go and show the commit process. Yeah.
Definitely. Alrighty. So I'm just publishing this one as is. As soon as you go through and create that bit of metadata, it's already created into ServiceNow. It's written into the database there. And so if I were to be looking at all of these and to refresh this, which I am going to complain to the product manager that I don't have a refresh button. Good thing I know.
You did. It was there. There was a refresh button.
Oh, well, then I'm blind, which is quite likely as well.
Yeah, there's a refresh button next to the cogwheel.
Oh, it was up here. I expected it to be with my list. That's on me. But what we've got our create a stream contribution action here, and I can then go into my source control menu. So app details is where we want to be, because we can then go through and commit that change. Now, I normally recommend changing your branch first, so creating a branch off main so that you're working like Earl did in a separate branch. But in the interest of time, what I did was go straight through. If I was wanting to commit this to my branch, in this case main, I can just go in, indicate that I want to be contributing just this file, continue, add a commit message. So this is my feature, streaming. We'll commit that file, and that's it. So if I now go back to GitHub, and again, we'll quickly change screen to facilitate that. Sorry about the lack of dual screen I've got here right now.
There it is. There's our faces.
There we go. Perfect. And then back into Action Pack here, we can now see in this one here, once I refresh, that I will have that brand new commit. My branch is now 1 commit ahead of that one because that's that brand new item I just added, the feature streaming, and I can see that a new metadata file has been added as part of that commit, and that's my SysHub action there. That's it. Like Earl showed before, we can now go in, do a pull request, pull that in. In this case, I will not accept this one because it does not do anything, but definitely that's all it took. And from there, you're inside ServiceNow, you're doing the same sort of contributions you would otherwise do. A great opportunity to then work within the platform, but also add those features like we were talking about.
Absolutely.
Astrid, can you change over to the main repository and show the issues tab that you mentioned earlier?
Definitely. Awesome. So great call out, Earl. Changing over to that one now. And in case you didn't see this before, folks, you can use that forked link there to easily jump back to that core repo. And then we've got our issues tab. So we were talking about pull requests earlier, the different pull requests made against the repo itself, but our issues are another great way for us to list different items that we want to have added, that we've got ideas, that we've got challenges or bugs that we're having in that. And so like I mentioned, we've got a list of some. We've already got Rahila jumping on this one. Awesome, excited to see that one come through as well. But the great opportunity to contribute your ideas, even if you're not necessarily comfortable with going through and implementing as well.
Yeah, if you see an issue that you want to tackle, what you can do is jump into that issue and then comment on it saying, hey, I would love to try this. And then one of our reviewers can go in here and assign it to you. And so that people know that you are working on this. You don't, so people don't have to duplicate work. If you get this assigned, that's our expectation. Like, hey, go work on it. We want you to do it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Laszlo, did you want to talk about your the Hack for Good repo at all? Anything you wanted to mention that?
I don't think I tried to squeeze it in, but essentially the process is the same what Astrid just illustrated. And what I just wanted to say before is, like, as soon as you commit your changes or whatever you've done in your ServiceNow instance back to your own repo, the process is the same. Process is the same as it is for code snippets. The contributing guidelines may differ here and there, but essentially you're back to GitHub, you're back to opening a pull request and hoping it's all good and it's going to be merged. The only thing is, once it's merged, you might want to sync your fork again. You might want to just update your app inside of ServiceNow from source control from your resynced repository to make sure you get the latest changes and updates. That's it. Hack for Good is the same logic as the ServiceNow app. Maybe we covered that in one of the office hour sessions. It's probably a good segue to talk about our upcoming streams.
Yeah, that's true. We do have a lot of content planned out for this month of October. A lot of our effort is into going into reviewing your pull requests and or enhancing the app to make it even easier to contribute to. One of the contributions that's hidden in the code snippets one, there's an actual service or GitHub page that is active now. We can enhance that. There's a little nice web portal to like browse through the top level categories, but that's behind the scenes. But we have a live stream every week planned. The times change depending on who the host is, because I'm in California, Laszlo's in Germany, Astrid's in Australia. So it's like, it depends on where we are. We intentionally are doing that so that there's different time zones that we can cover. And during those live streams, we'll be reviewing pull requests. We'll be making more contributions live, but join us at the time zone that is good for you. That's every week. So just watch this channel to see what times those will be. We'll probably post those later today or tomorrow. So you can see, we got to talk, y'all, about when we want to create those. Okay, that's our thing. We need to make those. But always watch the blog. We're going to be posting updates there. When you're done contributing, make sure you post on the Hacktoberfest blog post so that we can grant you prizes. Other reminders for this event, y'all?
That's it. Just follow the blog post. That's like, it has links to most other resources. If not, we will keep it updated. Add your comments under the blog post so that we can track you down in November and get you those swags you deserve.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is just engaging. So, of course, we've got LinkedIn, we've got YouTube where you can add these comments here, but also look at adding comments to the blog if you have any challenges or if you find any cool things that might help other users. And similarly, we, a little shout out to it, the SN Devs Slack. SNDevs.slack.com. It's one of the places that all of us as the sort of 3 people who get to be on stream, but also our maintainer group as well. We are almost all there. We're interested in supporting anyone who wants to jump in, have a chat, support other people with the challenges they have as well. That's how folks like Laszlo really got involved. We got to see that over the last few years and really great growth from there as well.
Real quick last minute questions popped up. If we create a v2 of a file, do we need a new README file? No. I'd encourage you to edit the original file and just say that you have a second version on there. Same question, same asker. Where can we find the recording of this session? I believe LinkedIn allows for you to rewatch streams once it's done, but go to youtube.com/ServiceNow dev program, and we have all of the video is always archived there too. To get onto the ServiceNow, the SN Devs workspace on Slack, invite.sndevs.com. Anytime you post online, do hashtag Hacktoberfest or hashtag ServiceNow Hacktoberfest, preferably. There's that link again. And then one thing I always like to end on as a reminder for anybody thinking about this and are hesitating and think you can't do it. One of my very favorite quotes: sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something. So just give it a try.
It's the job.
Yep. We all started off not being great at it. And look at where we are now. Look at me now, Ma.
Oh, we still suck.
It's true.
But we suck less. It's a
Suck
journey.
less. Yeah.
It's so true. Okay, that's a great note to end on. Thanks, everybody. Come chat with us. We love hanging out. Get to know us. This is the best time to get to know different people jumping into this program. Just come chat in the Hacktoberfest channel with us.
Definitely.
Sweet.
Thanks, everyone.
Gotta hit buttons. Hold on.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining the stream.
This one? Yeah. And then
Bye.
Hey, thanks, everyone.